Girl, if I can move away from my small town in Mississippi, you can too. I only had $2,000. $2,000 to move with no job, not knowing where the hell I'm going. Wanna know how? How I did it? Keep watching. Okay, let's get a little comfy. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Christy. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, comment, and share, and join the family. And welcome back to all of my returning subscribers. This is a video that I've been trying to do since I started YouTube. All right, y'all, I'm not gonna have specific dates like the actual day, but I can tell you the month, okay? So back in late 2014, that's when I kind of was like, I'm ready to go, but I don't know where I want to go. So I stayed in a small town in Mississippi that was 2.5 hours away from Jackson, Mississippi. And I was like, well, I won't be too far. I can just, it's a skip and a jump from home. I can go there, you know? So I started filling out applications at hospitals because back in Mississippi, I worked in medical records as well at a hospital. So I started filling out applications and I got a call back and I got an interview. Like I said, this hospital was 2.5 hours away from my hometown. Well, what I did was I went to work that morning and I got off, I clocked in at I think 6:30 and I got off at 12. And then around 12, that's when I left to drive 2.5 hours away for this interview in Jackson, Mississippi. Drove back, a week later, of course I didn't get the job. So time passed by. In 2015, I was just ready to go. I was single, I had no kids. It was just time for me to go. But I didn't know where I wanted to go, how I wanted to do. I just didn't know anything. I just know I wanted to leave my little small city. So I don't know which, it was a family gathering where my cousin came and she stays in Fort Worth, Texas. And she kind of put it in my head to, won't you come, you know, to Texas? So after that gathering, of course I thought about it. And then it was just in the back of my mind. So as I was working, I always watched YouTube videos, the sermons from T.D. Jakes. I love T.D. Jakes, and it was one certain sermon. I'm gonna be looking down at my phone, you know, for notes, whatever. Some of it is off the top of my head, and some of it is, you know, just little things that I couldn't remember. I loved his sermons, and it's just, every sermon always resonated with me. And this particular sermon, it was called The Power of a Changed Mind. I'll put it on the screen or in the description box. And as I was listening to this this sermon, it was basically saying once you change your mind, everything else starts to fall in place.
Amen. This morning I want to talk to you from the subject, there's nothing as powerful as a changed mind. There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind. You can change your hair, your clothing, your address, your spouse, your church, your residence. But if you don't change your mind, the same experience will perpetuate itself over and over again, because everything outwardly changed, but nothing inwardly changed.
And I was like, you know what? Maybe I will think about moving to Texas. My cousin did it. How come I can't do it, you know? So first person I called was my mom. My mom is so supportive with anything that I do. It doesn't matter what I do, she's very supportive. And I asked her, I said, Mom, do you think I can move? You think I'll be able to move to Texas by myself? And I didn't even have to explain to her why or what's going on or how I was gonna do this or how I was gonna do that. She was like, of course, baby, you can do this. You can do it, because I've always been wanting to, you know, move outside of Mississippi as well, and I never got a chance to. And yeah, she was so supportive when it came to stuff like that. So I was like, okay, my mom believes in me. I feel like I can do it. But the thing is, I ain't have no job. So once I got off the phone with my mom, I texted my cousin as I was at work. I was like, do you think I can move to Texas without a job? And of course, I have a very supportive family. And of course, she said, yeah, you can stay on my couch. She only had a 1-bedroom apartment. She was like, you can stay on my couch. But being me, knowing, if y'all know me, I'm very introverted and I'm a loner. And I like to be by myself. I like to, you know, just nothing against my cousin. I really appreciated my cousin for even offering, suggesting that I come stay on her couch while I, you know, try to find a job or this and that and this and that. She was like, yeah, I think you can do it. So I started researching areas in Fort Worth. She stayed like on the outskirts of Fort Worth, I think closer to Arlington, but I don't know, I just wanted to be in Fort Worth, like. So started researching areas, and please do your research. And I was like, okay, how am I gonna do this? So I just started looking up apartments that I think I could afford. And I came across this town called Benbrook, Texas. It's part of Fort Worth, but it's Fort Worth, Benbrook, yeah. But it was Benbrook, Texas, but the address said Fort Worth. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of the same thing here in Fort Worth, but yeah. Anyways, I seen some apartments. I looked through on this area, in this area, well, in Benbrook, it was like a whole row of apartments. And I was looking through each one of them. I was like, I don't like this one. I don't like that one. And then I came across this one. I put it on the screen and how much it was and all of that. The name of the apartments was called Highland Apartments. And it was a 1-bedroom, 650 something or 690 square feet for, at the time, 2015, it was either $650 or $700 a month. So I was like, I feel like I can, you know, handle that. So I ended up calling to the leasing office and I told her my situation. I told her that I am trying to move out there. Excuse me, and I have jobs lined up, well, interviews lined up. I didn't really have none at the time, but I was filling out applications. I forgot to tell y'all that I was filling out applications. And she was like, yeah, just send me your, no, she was like, fill out the application, which was like $99 for the application fee, and then attach your driver's license and 2 paycheck stubs. I was like, okay. She was like, and I'll see if you get approved. And it was one day. I did it while I was at work. I did everything while I was at work, child, because I had everything, all the resources near me, computer, all of that. So one day, I think I got off of work and it was raining. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I forgot what day it was though. I know it was raining and I was laying on my couch watching, of course, a crime show. And she called back and she said I was approved. And when she said I was approved, I was like, what do I do now? She was like, an apartment will be available August 15th. I think this month was either April. I think it was around April when I, decided on everything. So when she said that, she was like, do you want to, it'll be available August 15th. Is that fine? Is that fine for you, or is that fine with you? I was like, sure. Yeah. And she told me everything about the electricity. I was like, which electricity company I need to go for? What's the internet service around there that I need to, need to call about? I was like, is there anything else you can tell me about the area? Because I'm not from here. I've never been to Texas. Fun fact, I had never been to Texas before I moved. Never been to Texas, never driven 9 hours. That's how far it is from my town to Fort Worth. 9 hours, never, ever. So she told me about all of the stuff that was around the area, malls, Target, Walmart, you know, the usual stuff, restaurants, hospitals, everything is close in that area. So when she told me that, I was like, oh my God. I called my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm approved. And then I was thinking in my head, now what? I didn't know what to do. I just know I wanted to move. You know, when God tells you to move, you move. So if I wasn't gonna move then, I wasn't gonna ever move. So girl, I was like, okay, how I'm gonna do this? Who's gonna, you know, move me? How I'm gonna do this? And I have 2 brothers, and a half sister. But okay, so I was like, okay, so August 15th is when I'm gonna move. April, May, June, July, August, I got 4 months. Okay, I got 4 months. I didn't tell anybody. I told my mom, of course, but as far as like people at work, I ain't let nobody know until like 3 weeks before it was time for me to move. Actually 2 weeks, because I put in my 2 weeks notice. Okay. Girl, I was just I just didn't know what to do. I said, okay, I'm gonna need somebody to move me. Call my brother. My brother said, okay, you can rent a U-Haul and he'll drive the U-Haul. I'll drive my car and we can just, you know, load up and he can drive me. Girl, tell me why like a month later he was like, he was getting a job and he starts when it was time for me to move. Yeah. Okay, so I was like, all right, so how am I gonna do this? Okay, y'all, I'm trying not to make this too long. Okay, so when my brother said he wasn't able to do it, I had to think of another way. You know, where there's a will, there's a way. So I ended up reaching out to my uncle on my dad's side to see if he knew anybody to help me move or whatever. And child, you gotta love older people. And let me just say a name. Yeah, I can get John Ray. You know, you can rent a U-Haul and they can help me move and this and that and this. We can sleep on your floor until the next day and we can head out the next day. And it was like, now if you know me, you know I am not a people person, and especially people that I don't know. I don't want to be housing people that I don't know. Of course, they're doing me a favor by driving all the way to Texas, helping me load the truck and helping me unload the truck. I get that, but I was like, okay, I'll let you know. In the back of my head, I was like, nope, that ain't gonna work. So anyways, I ended up calling some moving companies, and I think the moving company that I chose was I think it was called Sunflower or Mayfield. I can't remember. I put it across the screen though. And they were gonna be able to load my stuff up, drive the 8 to 9 hours and unload my my stuff at the apartment. So I had to call and schedule an appointment because they had to, you know, look around my house to do an estimate, my apartment to do an estimate. I had a townhouse at the time where I was renting. I didn't have much furniture. All I had was downstairs. I had like a living room set, washer and dryer, TV stand, a dining room set, which that stayed at the house, that stayed, you know, back in Mississippi. And then upstairs I had 2 bedrooms, but I only had one that was filled, which was my room, was just the bed, the dresser, a TV. And yeah, the other room I had my computer, my desktop computer, but I knew I was gonna give that to my mom or whatever, so everything else was like closed in that room or whatever. So it wasn't gonna be much, but it was still stuff that, it was other stuff that I had in there as well. So the moving company came to do an estimate, and I think he said he thinks it would be around, because they go by weight, he thinks it'll be around $1,200 to $1,600. I'm not for sure which one it was. I think it was $1,200 if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. But they were, you know, they will pack it, wrap it and all that stuff and put it on the truck. So I was like, okay, cool. I think I want to, you know, book y'all or whatever. But the thing is, I moved August 15th. They was gonna come August, you know, I think it was August 14th is when they came to get my stuff. But they also told me that they wasn't gonna be able to deliver until 2 weeks after the 15th. Yeah. So when they told me that before, you know, after they did the estimate or whatever, and I was like, okay. And he was like, it may be 2 weeks, it may be a week, but just count on 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. So I feel like I was like, I need to get everything I can or that I needed and put it in pack it in my car. My mom was gonna come with me, and I was gonna drive. Like I said, I'd never driven 8 to 9 hours before. I'd never been to Texas. This is a true leap of faith. You hear me? A true leap of faith. So, yeah, I had to pack all the stuff that I actually needed, like my clothes, towels, kitchen necessities. The apartment already came with a microwave, so I left my microwave there. I think I gave it to my mom. Just stuff for the bathroom, and then I knew I can go once I got to Fort Worth. I was gonna be able to buy other stuff. But get this, y'all, I only had $2,000. $2,000 to move with no job, not knowing where the hell I'm going, and yeah. Yeah. So notate, make sure you do your research before moving. Make sure you have saved some money, because you don't know how it's gonna work out. Like I said, this was a true leap of faith, and when I tell you God is good, God is good. So anyways, August 15th come, and me and my mama, my car is packed to capacity. Everything is basically in there. My brother was like, how come you didn't put some of this stuff on the truck? I was like, I need this stuff. You know, I had my cleaning stuff and everything. I was like, even though I could have gotten it in Fort Worth, but that's beside the point. Car was packed to capacity. Okay, we drove to Fort Worth. 8.5 hours. Girl, once I got on the highway, I still hate driving on highways, especially anyways. Yeah, we drove those 8.5 hours. And we finally got to our destination, which was Benbrook, Texas. And as I was driving through, I was like, oh, this is a really nice neighborhood. Wow, this is nice. And as I was getting like down the street from, I can remember the address just clear as day, 6608 St. John's Drive, apartment 3015. I was on the 3rd floor, mind y'all, and we're moving in August. In the heat, 3rd floor. My mom counted them, they were 23 steps. Okay, I get right down the street from the leasing office, and my heart just started pounding, and I'm getting like teary-eyed, because it is a nice area. They had nice houses like on down where the apartments were. They had a lot of apartments before you got to my apartments, and it was just a nice, quiet area. Get in there, fill out my paperwork. I had already I don't know if I told y'all that, but I think I skipped a lot. I had already called the electric company to turn on my electric. I already called the internet service so I can have internet. So that was already, you know, on once I got there. Got to the leasing office, signed my paperwork. I had to pay like half a deposit because it was prorated. And I think I only had to pay $250 if I'm not mistaken. So got that, and they gave me the keys, y'all. They gave me the keys, and me and my mom was so freaking excited. We rushed over there, walked all the way up them 23 steps in the 100-degree heat. Got to the apartment, and it was so cute. It was cool on the inside. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. Oh my God. Yeah, we get in there, we look around. It was small, like I said, it was like 650 square feet, or 690 if I'm not mistaken. 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Yeah, everything was just in the little area, which was fine because it was just me. So me and my mom packed unpack the stuff, girl, I was tired. You hear me? I was tired. Okay, but we made it. I made it. That next day, was it the next day? No, that following day. I think it was on August 15th. Was that on a Monday? I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen. But like on that Wednesday, I had an interview at this hospital. And being that I wasn't familiar with the area, my cousin offered to come pick me up and take me to the hospital for the interview. My cousin was like a good ways away, 35 to 45 minutes away or whatever, but she did offer, and I really appreciate my cousin. Even though we really didn't see much of each other at all while I was here, but she helped me out in times of need. You hear me? Times of need, because times got hard. But anyways, I had an interview on Wednesday at a hospital, and I think it was for a unit secretary. Had that, and then on that following Friday, I had an interview, and this was with the jail. I know I'm skipping ahead, y'all. I don't want this to be so long to the point where it's like, oh, get to the point. But I need y'all, if y'all are trying to move to out of y'all's hometown to another state, please do your research. And if you don't have a job lined up, please have some interviews lined up. Make sure you have some interviews lined up, or make sure you have a job before you move in, because when I tell you it was hard, it was hard. Okay, I had plenty of interviews. I had plenty of failures. Yeah, plenty of trials and tribulations. You hear me? Trials and tribulations. So I guess I'll tell you, on that Friday, I had an interview for, it was a medical records clerk at a jail, but it wouldn't be exactly in the jail as the interviewer told me. It was gonna be like in a department across the street from the jail. She was like, it's gonna take a minute for them to hear back, because it was between me and another girl. I think she was from Alaska, y'all. Alaska. Okay. So it took a while for me to hear back from them. As I was waiting on them, I was also filling out applications. And by this time, a week has passed, and my mom had to go back. My mom had to go back to Mississippi. So I was there by myself, sleeping on the floor, on my blankets, watching did I have my TV at the time? Yes, I had my TV at the time, but I didn't have no kind of apps or anything. I think we were watching TV on my computer. I don't know what was, I can't even remember if we had a TV or not. I don't remember. I don't know if I packed it or what, child. But my mom left, and then I was just by my lonesome, filling out applications, going to job interviews. And then after a while, my furniture came, I got settled, and that's when the jail called me back. I had to do an extensive background check. They gave me a book this thick, and I had to fill it out. I had to take a lie detector test and everything, and I finally got hired for this position. When I got to the position, when I got to the job at 6 o'clock in the morning, I didn't know where to go. I had orientation, but the lady that was doing the orientation told me I was gonna be in central booking. Which that was not what the lady told me that I interviewed with. She told me I would be in another department. I would have to go to the jail to get the records, but as far as me working in the actual jail, I wasn't gonna do that. But the lady at orientation told me I was gonna be in central booking, y'all. I was gonna be up there with the, what you call, detention officers and people coming in to get booked, crackheads, all of them. And when I tell you I was scared out of my mind. When I left orientation that day, I called my mom and I was crying like a baby. She was like, well, just come home. I was like, no, I don't want to come home. I'm just gonna thug it out. I was like, Lord, give me strength, because I was pissed. I was pissed and I was mad. I was like, and scared. I was like, I am not about to be working in no jail. I'm just not. I'm not. So the next day was the day I start work, and I called before I started work. I called the lady that interviewed me, and she was like, I was like, ma'am, they told me I was gonna be working in the jail. She was like, no, you're not. You're gonna be in such and such department and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, that's not what they told me. She was like, well, let me just call them to make sure. I was like, okay, call them and call me back. I still had tears down my eyes. She called me back. She was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be in Central Book. And I was like, and I had no choice but to take the job, y'all. I had interviews before this, and I actually turned a job down. I was gonna be working at a hospital, but I was like, this will be a change of atmosphere for me, a change of pace, working in the jail in the medical records department. So I turned this hospital down to work with them. Yeah. So she was like, don't worry, I'll come at 6 o'clock in the morning to show you where you go and introduce you to everybody. 6 o'clock in the morning, she was like, make sure you park in the parking spot where you got interviewed, where her office was, where I thought I was gonna be. She said, make sure you park there so so I can validate your parking for a week. I was like, okay, cool. Met her there at 6 o'clock. Go to the jail, y'all. Bitch, it stank like ass and titty and big booty, bitch. It just, oh my God. I'm telling y'all this story because, like I said, I had trials and tribulations while I was, when I first got here. It took me a while to get acclimated to everything. Get into the jail, like I said, it's, whew, child. So they have huddle early in the morning. I forgot what they call it. It's not huddle, it's something else they call it. They tell you where you're gonna be, who you're gonna be with, how many prisoners or whoever is coming to the jail, and yeah. Needless to say, I seen a lot while I was there. I seen, when I say central booking, y'all look up central booking. Y'all will see all the weirdos there, people spreading feces all over the wall. It was just horrible, and I dreaded going there every day. I was miserable going there every day from 7 to 3, I think, or 6:30 to 3 or something like that, until I got to the point where I just called the hospital that I didn't accept the position at, and I called them. I said, is that job still available? And luckily it was. Well, 2 weeks after working for the county jail, I got a job at the county hospital, which was a huge hospital, bigger than where I came from. It had like so many different clinics, 2 psych wards, a jail, and everything. It was just huge, and I got that position. So I'm here to tell you, you can do it. Just please do your research. Please have something available for you, because like I said, I got that job at the hospital after 2 weeks. Oh, the girl the lady that I interviewed with, she was pissed because I called her. I was like, I won't be in Monday. Just tell me where I need to turn in my uniforms, because we had to get uniforms, y'all. I had to be in a damn police uniform, wearing steel-toe boots and black pants. Yeah. I was like, just tell me where I need to turn it in and blah, blah, this. She was pissed. She was pissed off. But had she told me exactly where I was going to be working, I would have turned that job down in a heartbeat. Okay. 2 weeks after I started working at the jail, I wasn't going to start working at the hospital until like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, because of course you got to go through drug tests and all, background check and all of that. So I wasn't gonna get paid. I wasn't gonna get paid at all. I mean, I had my last paycheck, but it wasn't even enough to cover my rent. So when I tell y'all trials and tribulations, I went to the leasing office. I was like, look, I am not at this job right now, but I am starting another position at this hospital, and I don't get paid until like, 3 or 4 weeks later or whatever, 2 weeks later. And I just need to know if you can waive the late fee and this and that and this and that. They actually worked with me the first month. yes, we can waive the late fee as long as you get the rent in by such and such time before, you know how the eviction process starts. So I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, I started at the hospital and the rest is history, y'all. Just my thing is pray about it before you move. Please have some savings because you're gonna come into some trials and tribulations to a point where if you don't have a job, you're gonna need that money to cover yourself, you know, your rent and all of that. So please just do your research, have a little savings. Don't be like me and just come with $2,000 and think it's gonna work out, because even though it did for me, you never know how it will be for somebody else, because 2015 is totally different from 2025. Okay, everything is higher and all of that. So I suggest to just make sure you do your research, have some savings built up. If possible, stay with somebody until you find a job. If you're not moving, if you don't already have a job when you move, even if you don't like staying with somebody. But if you're like me and want to be out on your own, then just do it. You know, pray about it, do it. That's all I can say. If I miss some things, I'll put it on the screen, or if you have any questions about anything, put your comments down below. Y'all, I would have never thought I would have moved from my hometown. I'm such a homebody. I'm still a homebody, but I would have never experienced what I experienced here in my hometown. I would have never met the people that I met here in my hometown. I would have never done the things that I've done here in my hometown. So moving out of your home state or your hometown to a different area, a different state where nobody knows your name is a must, I should say. It's a must. It was a must for me because it's totally different from what I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing the same things, but being in a bigger city, don't nobody know my business. Don't nobody know me. Being in a small town, everybody knows your business. Everybody knows who you done slept with. Everybody knows everything about your family and everything. But moving to a bigger city, it's so much better. It's just, oh my God. Coming from a small town, I never thought I would be in this position, ever. You hear me? So if you are trying to move or wanting to move, pray about it. Pray about it. Just pray about it. Pray about it. And then if you get your answer where God is telling you to move, please move. Please. Because if you're not going to move now, you're never going to do it. That's what I had to keep telling myself. If you're not going to do it now, Chrissy, you're never going to do it. You're going to be stuck here and just, yeah. Not saying Mississippi, my area was a bad place. It was just, I was stuck. I was so stuck. Just stuck. But like I said, if you have any questions, thank you guys for watching. Sorry it was all over the place. I know I just had to get it out because this will be the only time being that the house is empty. But just do it, y'all. Do it, and do it. Okay. Girl, this is cricket as ever. What the hell? I need me a damn drink. Should I get a drink? Should I get a drink? I'm gonna be too hot if I get a drink. I'm gonna be sweating. No. Bitch, how do people do this? I can't get this stuff centered. Oh. Well, I don't want my big old belly showing. What the hell? Oh man, we ain't got but a minute left. I need to delete this story. I need a drink. I need to calm down.